Yeah, I think we are live. So, yeah, hello everyone, whoever is joining from wherever and whatever parts of India. This is Dibyanshu Gautam, and today we are going to try to understand, what's the road to 99 percentile. I was an aspirant like you guys 1 year back, and due to my own perseverance and other things, I was able to crack or bell the cat, as they say. But I have few insights for you guys, and we'll try to look into whatever things that we can do, now that there are only few days left for cat. So what exactly was my experience, we'll go through that. Then maybe we can look into what we can do now, given the fact that we have few days left. What should be the strategy for an ideal student in this case? So yeah, I think we can dive deep into that. I do have a presentation for you guys, but it will be a short presentation, and once we are done, maybe we can have some Q&A questions in the end, right? So yeah, I think first of all, I like to talk more about this test that we have. So Unacademy is organizing a cat 23 elite test. So it's on 8th of October from 12:30, and it's a mock for 66 questions that is there for 120 minutes. And if you can see, there are a lot of things, a lot of perks that are attached to this test. I mean, top 70 learners will get 100% scholarship in GDPI subscriptions, and even 700 rankers would get their CAT forms refunded, right? And it will be a great test. Have a lot of quality questions there. Now that we have less time left for CAT, I think it's important for us to give as many mocks and try to analyze them more and more. It will be really a good mock. There will be analysis sessions also after the tests end. So do enroll into this and go to the Unacademy platform and find the link there. I think there will be a link in the description as well, so you can click there and try to reach this particular test. Give it a try and try to see or gauge what kind of preparation you have till now. Correct. So yeah, I think moving on, a small intro about me. So yes, I am Dibyanshu. I am studying currently in XLRI Jamshedpur, and I scored 99.62 percentile in CAT last year, and I had a 99.64 percentile in SAT. And some more things about me, I really like to read about current affairs, which is something which is essential for a CAD aspirant. So yeah, I mean, this is somewhere around about myself. I was an engineer before this, so yes. So yeah, I think we can move on with my experience, right? So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, right, when we are looking into CAT. So through my experience, what I can say, it's CAT is not a sprint; it's a marathon, right? So this particular test, I mean, there are so many aspirants every year, right? They try to give this particular test, and everybody thinks that uh, 2 or 3 months may we'll study and we'll give it, let's see what happens, something like that. But if you look into the toppers from past years, whoever you talk to, you will see that most of them, right, they were very perseverant and they tried to do this thing consistently, across whatever time that they spent on this particular test. So always remember that it's not a sprint. Like, you need to always be consistent in whatever that you're doing, right? Always think that okay, abhi mere marks nahi aa rahe, but maybe later on, if I am consistent, right, agar mere fundamentals clear hai, then maybe I can later on try to score more marks. Okay, it's not over until the D day has arrived. So always keep that thing in mind when you're preparing for CAT, right? Then there are these three things which defined my whole 1 year. Okay, jitna maine prepare kiya tha for CAT, that was dedication, perseverance, and sacrifice, right? You need to have some kind of dedication if you want to crack CAT. Perseverance, it's a given thing. If you are dedicated enough, if you are perseverant enough, that is, you keep doing those things each and every day, okay, day in, day out. You are solving those kind of sums, you're solving those kinds of set, then you're bound to achieve something, right? And sacrifice, which is very important. And I think, now that we only have 52 days left in CAT, I mean, there are a lot of things that will be going around you, right? There will be friends calling you for these things. There will be family functions, everything. But you know that these 52 days are so essential to you. So you'll have to sacrifice some time, right? And that is how you'll be able to crack CAT. So these three things was, something which defined me and my preparation during that time. So that was my experience. And again, I think consistency is key. As I mentioned, consistent रहेंगे तो हम जितने भी sums whatever we are solving, we are confident on the topics that we are doing, and even confident on the things that we are not very good at, because we have done few kinds of sum consistently, right? So that is one thing that was there. Again, a very major point, please don't skip any kind of topics and sections thinking that this is something which I don't like a lot. Like I've seen a lot of people quants may they skip permutations and combinations, even though very basic questions are usually there in the cat for those kind of topics. So you can easily go and score those 3 marks, which are very essential when we are talking about a very close exam, correct? So please don't skip any topics and section, even though you feel that it is not something which you can handle. Please just go through the basics, but please don't skip anything. ये सब चीजें would matter in the end score, right? And yeah, be mentally prepared. Okay, it's a tough exam, I understand. And during this time last year, even I was facing the same issue, right? But please be mentally prepared. Okay, eat well, rest well, always be ready for what is coming. And just keep a cool mind, right? As I mentioned here as well, like give your best. Okay, this is what ultimately matters. Whatever that you have under control, do your best shot. Okay, give justice to the exam. If you have prepared for this, even if you have prepared for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, doesn't matter. Whatever that you have done, go there and do that. Okay, because it's your effort that ultimately matters. It might be possible that you might not be able to crack it this time, but maybe you will able to learn some insights which you will use eventually in life, not just for cat, right? So give your best. Okay, and try scoring as much as possible, okay, in this particular exam. So that was my experience last year, whatever that happened, right? And so yeah, I mean, given the my experience and whatever that has happened, right? Now a lot of you and a lot of people do communicate with me ki bhaiya abhi how should I strategize, right? There are only 52 days left. Would I be able to crack cat? What kind of strategy should I apply in this stage? Yeah, I'm scoring this particular marks in this particular mock. How should I go about it? So yeah, I think strategy is important in this phase, given the fact that we have 52 days left, which is still a good amount of days. Let me tell you guys. Okay, if anybody is thinking कि यार बहुत कम दिन बचे हैं, I might not be able to crack that, it's not a big deal. There's still 52 days left. Okay, and each and every day matters. So rather than thinking about कि आज होगा कि नहीं, कल होगा कि नहीं, start preparing, start doing whatever that you can. ठीक है? In 52 days, I am pretty sure that a normal student would be able to get a well enough score that it is respectable in this particular situation, right? So we can discuss about the strategy. Okay, what can we do now? 52 days left. What is the number one thing that we can do, right, in this stage? So yeah, I mean, how do we get there? Number one thing, please give mocks. The number of mocks that you give, the more you'll get experience. And even more for people who feel they're not fully prepared. If you feel कि आपका कुछ बच रहा है, या ऐसी कुछ चीजें हैं which you think that you are still not very clear at, please go ahead and give mocks. Okay, it doesn't matter how much syllabus that you have covered. Like as I mentioned in the start of this presentation as well, there is a mock that is going on for Unacademy as well, right? Cat Elite. Do give that exam, do give good mocks. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of score that you're getting, you will be able to learn a lot many things. Okay, cat is not about just scoring, it's also about time management, it's also about stress and load management. And these all things would only come from mocks. You will see कि बहुत बार classes में you are getting the solutions as quickly as possible, but in mocks it's not being converted to the marks that you would have thought of, right? So please go ahead and give as much mocks as you can. Okay, after that, even if you have given mocks, please ensure that you do proper analysis. Okay, find your weak spots and work on them. A lot of the times I've seen students that they just give mocks. ठीक है, score अच्छा है, okay, well and good, we are on the right track. Score अच्छे नहीं आए, ठीक है यार, might be something wrong with the mock, let's go ahead. They don't care about analyzing the mock, but that's the biggest mistake that you can do. Go ahead, dive deep. Okay, give some time, 2-3 घंटे आप दो. Try to understand what kind of mock that you gave. Okay, what kind of specific questions are hurting you, कहाँ पे ज्यादा नेगेटिव हो रहे हैं, क्या एक्यूरेसी है आपकी, कौन से टॉपिक में आपको इशू हो रहा है. because if you work on these particular things, right, in these 52 days, your score of, like, where you'll be on, like, in 80 to 90 percentile can reach 99 plus percentile. And that's not a, that's not a small thing. So you do have the time to work on your weak things. Okay, look into things that you are, actually feeling some kind of issues, and try to rectify them in this situation. So what I did in my time was I created an Excel file. I think a lot of students have talked about this as well, right? That with details about, each and every topic. Let's just say quant mein aapne ek Excel file banai. Then you divide all of the questions. Like there are 22 questions. You divide them according to what section were there. Some would be from number system, some would be from algebra. उसके अंदर भी सब topics है. To try to see whatever type of questions that you're getting for that particular topic, are you able to solve them, and with what accuracy? If you're feeling कि कुछ sections में you're getting weak, go ahead, next day you try to solve more questions from that part, but try to rectify those problems. And if you're able to work on those things, right, that is the extra 2 or 3 questions that you will do, in your end d day, and you'll be able to solve your questions at that time. So please give more focus on analyzing the mock as well, right? And then these two, I have made them bold because it's a very important thing. Okay, I think most of the people are fixated on these things, but doesn't matter. Please don't worry about the percentile, right? Even if you're getting good percentile, and even if you're getting bad percentiles, please, it's just a mock. Okay, it's a very small sample of people that give mock, so it doesn't matter even if you're scoring 99 percentile or an 80 percentile. What matters is if you are improving day by day, week by week or not. Even if you scored like 70 marks in one mock, then next day you scored 72 marks in another mock, it's an improvement. So keep that in mind, build upon that. Okay, and for me, what I did, I never looked at the percentile, I always targeted a score. So let's just say if you are scoring 50 today, well and good, try scoring 55 the next mock, try scoring 60 uske baad. ठीक है, if you didn't cross 55 in the next one, again keep that goal and go for it in the next mock. But please always try to increment these things. Whatever that you're doing, always focus on trying to get that particular score, right? Because in that you'll be able to you'll able to find and rectify things that you felt that, um, is coming between you and your target. What kind of questions that you would have done, बहुत सारी चीजें होंगी. So please always, don't look at the percentile, look at the scores, try to keep a target. And even if you're not able to achieve them, not an issue, just keep improving day by day. Okay, so that is the whole things about the mocks. Moving forward, okay, now that we have talked about mocks, cat is all about 3 sections, right? So I thought about the strategy that, a student can apply as of now, that now that we have 52 days. So yeah, I think I mentioned it that also, you still have 52 days. 52 days is really a long time. I am pretty sure that most of you might be thinking, bus 52 days bache, ab kaise hoga, kya karenge, what should I do? Okay, so don't worry about it. Even though, your syllabus is pending, whatever is there, okay, keep that, keep going on with that, whatever part that you want to cover. But also, as I mentioned, please do give mocks. And section wise, let's see what, strategy that you can do. This is my recommendation, as at least. So for quants, I mentioned as simple as possible. Quants is all about practice. Okay, practice as many new questions that you can, right? Pick up 20 to 30 problems, whatever that you can, and solve them. Okay, and it's a non-negotiable. I have mentioned that also, कि whatever that you are, 20 to 30 new questions that you will do, that's eventually going into your brain like a question bank, कि अच्छा ये टाइप के भी क्वेश्चंस मैंने कर लिए हैं. So एग्जाम में समथिंग नया नहीं लगेगा. And when you don't feel something is new, something, you recognize the pattern, it will be very easy for you to solve. ठीक है, जो question maybe for other candidates you'll be they'll be feeling like 3 minutes or 4 minutes का question है, you will think that ये मैंने पहले से कर रखा है, and you will be able to do it under 2 minutes. ठीक है, which matters a lot on the DD, let me tell you that. Okay, so even if we have 52 days right now, pick up problems, try doing that. I think 20 to 30 problems, even like you can do it in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but do that. Okay, every day kabhi na kabhi you will be able to find out 2.5 hours. Okay, if you're a serious aspirant, please go ahead, try to do these kind of questions, and you'll be able to see the change, frequently in your mocks as well. ठीक है, कुछ दिनों में तुम्हारे mocks में भी score बढ़ने लगेंगे if you're able to do such questions. So do that. And I think next is about that only. Suppose that, in a mock तुम्हारे किसी particular section में you are seeing your accuracy is not there. Suppose किसी का algebra अच्छा है, arithmetic में marks नहीं आ रहे, उसमें भी टाइम इन वर्क में मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे, स्पीड डिस्टेंस में नहीं आ रहे. सो ठीक है, यू टेक अप 10 to 20 क्वेश्चंस. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो मॉक में नहीं आ रहे थे, प्लीज डू दैट अगेन. ठीक है, and then go ahead and try to solve other questions also. I think the question banks provided by your teachers in Unacademy. Okay, there are other kind of questions that are available online as well. So try to find new questions and try to solve those questions for the particular section. That will check your fundamentals also. Okay, and then you can move forward into doing good questions as well in that. So that will improve it कि suppose उस दिन पे उसी particular section के questions आ गए, so you don't get frightened, but you will be able to solve them कि ठीक है, मैंने तो ये recently किया है, this is something which I can do. So focus more on that. ठीक है, QA में it's all about practice, 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 practice as much as many questions that you can, and try to be new in the questions. Don't do the same questions again and again, because that doesn't matter, right? That's like you're reinforcing that there's nothing new to learn. So that, don't do that. Try to find new questions and you'll be able to solve them, right? For LRDI, okay, LRDI is something which was difficult at my time also. That was my dreaded subject. But again, I mean, LRDI mein what I did was, I used to do like 2 or 3, or maybe sometimes even 4 sets a day. For the last 50 days, I did like 3 or 4 sets every day. And LRDI mein, there's no one right way to do go about it. Okay, it's all about logic. So what I did was I did as many as different sets as possible, different kinds of things, right? Because there's no one single type of set that comes in cat. Nobody can tell you that. So do as much as sets as possible. Okay, try to find new and challenging sets. Okay, because if you're able to solve the question very easily, right, then ideally it's not a good set, because in cat you won't get such easy sets, that you'll do it as simply as possible. So never keep that in mind. Okay, if it's a challenging set, it's a good sign, right? If you're not able to solve it, doesn't matter. It's more about you think on those sets. Okay, 10, 20, 30 minutes, not an issue. Still have 52 days, but that will increase your power of thinking. And maybe the next time such kind of sets come, maybe you'll be able to find that crack to open the set, and you'll be able to solve that set. So always focus on doing these challenging sets every day. Focus more on the the thinking part, how you are thinking and what kind of logic you are building, rather than just to find the solution. Okay, so that same question would never come into cat, but that kind of thinking that you develop through these sets, that will eventually help you crack the cat, right? So do that for LRDI. That would be my strategy here. And for VRC, see, 52 days are left. I understand that a lot of people do struggle with VRC sometimes. Sometimes they're very good with QA and LRD, and VRC is something which they don't focus more on, and that eventually hurts a lot at the end. You would be talking to a lot of people, who were good in QA and LRDA, but they flunked VRC. So don't overlook VRC for now. If there are 52 days left, you feel that there's not much time to learn more about or read newspapers and do those things, well and good. Okay, start practicing more RCs. Okay, now that we have less time, start practicing more and more passages that you can get. Try to find a logic, you know from these particular questions. What kind of things are they expecting from an RC question, right? You will be able to find a pattern. Try to find that pattern and try to score as much as possible, even for VA questions. You would have seen that there are many techniques for VA questions and even for RCs, right? Try to get those techniques, use them efficiently in Vox, and try to see how much score are you able to improve in VARC. I understand a lot of you might not be able to get a good score, but always keep in mind that you have to clear the cutoff, right? Even if you want to get into your favorite B school, so keep that in mind. Okay, do not overlook VARC. Try finding some kind of logic, try doing different kinds of things, but try to practice RCs. If you're weak, try to practice VA questions. Even if basic questions are there, do try to practice them, and you'll be able to get a respectable score in VRC, right? And for people who are good at it, continue doing whatever that you're doing. If you feel that VRC is sorted, and maybe other sections are something which that you want to focus more on, go ahead and you can do that. That's well and good. But for people who are weak specifically, try to give some time to VARC as well, because if you're not able to clear the sectional cutoff, then it feels really bad at the end of the day. And I know a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, that's the whole strategy that I have for three sections. How to divide the time? See, that is very subjective. People have different strategies on how they divide the time. किस एक section को ज़्यादा importance देना है? My thought was that I gave equal importance to all of the three. ठीक है. Now after one mock, maybe it might be possible that I didn't perform well in LRDI or I didn't perform well in QS. So maybe a slightly more time to that particular section on specific things which I didn't solve at that point of time or which I felt that was difficult. But I mean, it's a very subjective thing. आपको सोचना है कि what is important for you. If you feel that one section is going a little more low than other two, try picking that up and bring that to the same level. ठीक है? You still have time, a lot of time. So please do not overlook any section and any topic inside a section. Try doing everything. Okay. If you're having less time, try to manage that time and be perseverant and dedicated in whatever that you're doing. If you are thinking that one day you'll do 20 questions of quant, 2 3 sets of LRD, and next day you are not doing anything, you have other kind of commitments, please maintain that you do at least some level of questions every day, because that will keep your mind running. And at the end of the day, when the D-day arrives, your mind would be like ready for the challenge. अगर आप consistent नहीं रहोगे, one day you're doing 1 or 2 weeks you're doing so much, then another 2 weeks you're not doing anything, then that's not a good strategy at all, because your mind would be not ready for that particular exam. So yeah, I mean, keep these things in mind. I understand a lot of you are going through a lot of you feel a lot of stress in this situation. I was also in that situation, but rest assured, okay, if you prepare well, if you give your best in your exam, no matter what the result is, at least you will be proud of what you are doing, right? So always keep that in mind and try preparing. And yeah, I mean, this was majorly the strategy that I have, and this was something which I wanted to communicate with you guys today. So yeah, I mean, I can look into questions also. A lot of you are posting some kind of questions, so whatever questions that you have, please post in the chat. I'll try to answer them one by one, right? And yeah, you can feel free to reach me out after this stream as well. Okay, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and whatever questions or doubts that you have, I'll be more than happy to solve them right now. And not just about CAT, maybe after for admissions or any kind of such things, you can feel free to connect with me, right? So yeah, I mean, I can go ahead with some doubts. So yeah, okay. I got one doubt. First one is, hi, how to score in quant? Okay. So very very subjective kind of a question. So I don't know about your background and what exactly are you expecting in this answer, but I mean, if you're feeling that your cons are weak, right? So still have time. देखो आपके कौन से सेक्शन ज़्यादा वीक लग रहे हैं. आई प्रिज्यूम दैट कुछ सेक्शंस होंगे जो आपको सही लग रहे होंगे एंड यू आर स्कोरिंग वेल इनफ इनसाइड क्वांट, but there might be more sections where you're feeling weak. So if you are not able to score consistently, 2 3 mocks में भी सही से नहीं आ रहे, देन रीविजिट योर फंडामेंटल्स. ठीक है, आपने जो बेसिक्स किए हैं क्वांट्स के, आप उसमें देखो, आप गो थ्रू करो उसको अगेन, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड अगेन एंड देन स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द बेसिक्स. थोड़े बेसिक क्वेश्चन लगाओ एंड डे बाय डे उसका लेवल बढ़ाओ एंड आप देखोगे कि बाद में आप स्कोर कर सकते हो, राइट? सो थोड़ी मेहनत ज़्यादा लगेगी इस पर्टिकुलर सेंस में अगर आपके इस क्वांट्स में स्कोर कम आ रहा है, बट प्लीज फोकस ऑन दैट. ठीक है, and I think you'll be able to score well enough if you're able to identify your mistake and then work upon them. That's it. That's the strategy to score in quant, right? So Jinay is asking, is it possible to crack cat starting now? Jinay, I think it depends a lot of what your current situation is right now. If you are, well enough with your fundamentals, right, and if you are thinking that you are able to score decent amount of marks, I'm not saying a very good marks, then I think it is very very much possible that you can crack it. And if you are just starting, you don't have a grasp on the fundamentals. I think you might go ahead with at least giving this particular exam for the experience, but you might target the next year as well. There is always that kind of opportunity. Okay, so whatever that strategy that you have, start today. I think you'll be able to crack cat, or at least try to give a decent kind of justice for the exam. So always focus on that, and I think you'll be able to do that. So someone is asking, what kind of mocks did I give? So I gave all the mocks that were present in Unacademy, and I think at that point of time there were a lot of quality questions also. This time also around there are a lot of mocks that are present in Unacademy. So that was a given for me, and then maybe you can pick up other mocks as well. There are a lot of mocks in the market, so don't pick up as much mocks as possible. Try to pick one other mock and just give that diligently. Okay, it's mock collect नहीं करना है अपने को, mock देना भी है. So 10-15 mock companies से collect करके then देना, it's not a feasible thing. Pick one or two, try to give their mocks and try to analyze on that. That is what was there. How much hike can a person get in 2 months if they study 6 to 7 hours daily, giving mocks repeatedly? I mean, if you're able to study 6 to 7 hours daily, right, and if you're able to give that kind of time in 2 months, I think you can see a lot of race, but it depends, right? अब आप 6-7 घंटे आपने बोला है, but आप 6-7 घंटे में कितना अच्छे से पढ़ रहे हो, उस पर भी डिपेंड करता है. ओके, lot of the people they study then बीच में phone चला लिया. नहीं, अगर if you are giving 6 to 7 hours daily without any kind of distractions and mocks भी आप अच्छे से analyze कर रहे हो, आप बहुत ज़्यादा hike देख सकते हो. ठीक है, so keep that in mind. How many times did I attempt CAT? This was my first attempt last year. कौन से mocks दे दिए थे? That I said. Trouble with accuracy in VARC, please suggest tips on preparation. Okay. VARC, yes, I understand a lot of the times जो आपको सही लगता है ऑप्शन, वो ऑप्शन सही होता नहीं है. ठीक है, and lot of the times a lot of people face this particular situation. So if you are facing these things continuously, एक एक बार जाके थोड़ा फंडामेंटल्स देख लो आरसी का. ठीक है, आरसी एंड इवन इन वीए थोड़े फंडामेंटल्स देख लो. क्या इज देयर समथिंग दैट यू आर मिसिंग? ठीक है, एंड आई नो इट साउंड्स वेरी बोरिंग समटाइम्स कि क्या यार इंग्लिश पढ़ रहे हैं, आरसी पढ़ रहे हैं, बट डू गिव अ रीड इफ यू आर फीलिंग सम काइंड ऑफ इश्यूज देयर. थोड़े फंडामेंटल्स पढ़ो. ठीक है, एंड ट्राई डूइंग सम काइंड ऑफ बेसिक आरसीज. इफ यू आर एबल टू क्रैक दोस थ्री, ठीक है, देन एक लेवल बढ़ाओ, देन एक लेवल बढ़ाओ, एंड देन वैसे मॉक्स में जो तुम्हारे इश्यूज आ रहे थे, देन डू दैट आरसी. ठीक है, I think you'll be able to solve them, but try to find some kind of logic or some kind of things in that, right? Because accuracy is one major thing. Okay? In VRC, what time a lot of the times what happens is that you give the exam, you feel that मेरे तो सारे correct थे. Then at the end of the day, like mocks जब खत्म हो जाती है, then you see कि अरे ये तो wrong था, right? So keep that in mind. ठीक है, थोड़ा ध्यान से करो and try going through the techniques that are there for RCs and VA. You'll be able to solve this issue, right? Yeah, hello, sir. Which topics we should put in first priority? I think, see, there are no major topics, ठीक है, प्रायोरिटी वाइज में. एवरी सेक्शन में एवरीथिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. क्या जैसे क्वांट्स में आई थिंक देयर आर 5 मेजर सेक्शंस, राइट? इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, नंबर्स, ज्योमेट्री, अलजेब्रा, अर्थमेटिक, एंड मे बी वन मोर थिंग आई एम मिसिंग, बट एवरीथिंग इज मेजरली इंपॉर्टेंट. एज आई सेड, इवन पीएनसी के एक दो इजी क्वेश्चन आ जाएंगे, एंड इफ यू डोंट स्टडी दैट राइट, देन इट विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम अल्टीमेटली. सो सब स्टडी करना है. ठीक है, अलजेब्रा एंड अर्थमेटिक मोस्ट मेजर परसेंटेज यूजुअली आता है. ठीक है, so keep that in priority as well. So her particular subject mein there are some things which are a bit more priority. Give that kind of priority, but don't overlook on the other things as well. ठीक है, सबको साथ लेके चलेंगे, then we can maximize like our marks, which is our ultimate goal. So keep that in mind always, right? So generally, how many hours required you to prepare from first day till last? So for me, I think so my usual daily time, so I was a working professional, I used to work, right? So for me, what my daily day used to look like was I used to wake up at 6 or 6:30, and then I used to study for, I'll say 2 hours, maybe 8:30 tak. Then from 9 or 10 to 7 I used to work, and after 7 I used to, like, just after logging off, I used to start studying till probably like 12 or 1. So if you're able to give like 5 to 6 hours, I think it's more than enough. And weekdays, obviously, since I had a lot of time, so मैं ज़्यादा hours दे पाता था. So but ये it's a very subjective question. ठीक है, बहुत लोग कम hours में भी निकाल लेते हैं, बहुत लोग इससे भी ज़्यादा hours लेते हैं. So keep your thing in your mind. ठीक है, what kind of ability do you have, and उसके accordingly you can judge. What should we keep in mind, like thoughts and do's and don'ts before approaching the mock? Yes, mock है. Always think of a mock as a last exam that you're giving. ठीक है, the final CAT का day. ठीक है, always keep that kind of mindset when you're going inside the mock. And yes, do give fairness to each section. जल्दीबाजी में मत करो, ठीक है, कि mock देना है, अरे नहीं हो रहा है, let's close this thing. Don't do that. ठीक है, sit for 2 hours diligently. Try to complete that mock. Give justice to that mock. ठीक है, कोई सेक्शन या कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है, यू गिव योर टाइम इन दैट. लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस, राइट. कई बार होता है कि क्वेश्चंस बिना फंडामेंटल्स के भी हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज आपके पास वो लॉजिक रहता है. सो टाइम दो, ठीक है, कोई भी मॉक को लाइटली मत लो, ठीक है. एंड वॉट एवर हैपन्स आफ्टर द मॉक एज वेल, आपके वैसे स्कोर नहीं है, आपकी सडनली बहुत ज्यादा ड्रॉप हो गई, सो डोंट गेट डिसहार्टेंड. वो मॉक्स ऐसे ही बने होते हैं कि वो टेस्ट करते हैं, ठीक है, आपके लिमिट्स को टेस्ट करते हैं. सो ऑलवेज कीप दैट इन माइंड, ठीक है. आप क्या सीख रहे हो उससे, वो ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. द स्कोर डजंट मैटर, because it's not the final exam. Final exam would happen on the day the cat is, right? So whatever that you're doing in the mock, do it diligently. Whatever data that you get out of it, what kind of result that you get, usko inculcate karo, and you'll be able to flourish the final exam. Keep that in mind, right? uh, माना 2 दिन मैंने 2 दिन पहले मॉक दिया था, बट मेरा 39% आया है. तो हाउ टू इम्प्रूव माई मार्क्स? आई थिंक द होल सेशन वॉज अबाउट दैट. यू कैन रिवाइंड एंड चेक, ओके, क्या कर सकते हैं. 39% आया, ठीक है, नॉट एन इशू. आई डोंट, आई मीन फॉर मी इट डजेंट मैटर व्हाट काइंड ऑफ परसेंटाइल दैट यू आर गेटिंग. कहाँ कहाँ तुम्हें इंप्रूवमेंट्स चाहिए, जस्ट फाइंड देम आउट. ठीक है, अगर कोई सेक्शन में बहुत ज्यादा खराब आ रहे हैं, तो वो सेक्शन पे थोड़ा इंप्रूव करो. फंडामेंटल्स देखो पहले, ठीक है. जितने भी फंडामेंटल्स बेसिक्स तुम क्लियर रखोगे, उतना फिर तुम उस पर डेवलप कर सकते हो. अभी भी टाइम है, यू नो, लाइक 10 or 20 days यू गिव ऑन योर फंडामेंटल्स बेसिक्स. जितने भी बेसिक्स है, ट्राई करो, उसको देखो, बेसिक बेसिक सम सॉल्व करो. हर चीज के अगर हम बेसिक से सम सॉल्व करो, देन आप उसके ऊपर बिल्डअप ऑन कर सकते हो. तो keep that in mind, right, and go ahead about it. I am sure that you'll be able to score much more than that. You're more capable than that, right? Again, how to balance preparation between DI and LR? Could you recommend how many sets of each should we do every day? Yeah, I think for me, I obviously give more priority to LR, because DI usually is a little bit straightforward. But if you see the recent pattern, right, Ajkal it's more about reasoning based DI and quant based LR. So they are mixing these two things right now. So questions जो DI के भी आ रहे हैं, it would seem like very simple, but उसमें भी थोड़ी reasoning लग रही है. So keep both of these in balance, I would say. But yeah, I focus more on LR. Why? Because it used to increase my thinking capability, which is ultimately required in LRDI nowadays, right? So DI think if you're able to do one set, it's more than enough. Okay. But if you're able to get hand on this like reasoning based DI, जो नए type के DIs आ रहे हैं, do that, because that is ultimately what will come in the exam, right? So yeah, I mean, I give more priority to LR, okay, but it again depends on you. See to it what kind of questions that you are struggling with, and try to pick up as much new sets as possible. Okay. In LRDA question, after exam period हो जाता है, but stuck while attempting mock, really trying hard but processing is a bit low. Yeah, I mean LRDI, even in the main exam, a lot of the people face this thing. Okay, so it's not a new thing. You're not the only person जिसको ये issue हो रहा है. Whatever that you're doing, ठीक है, LRDI में अगर आपको question नहीं आ रहा है उस particular mock में, कोई problem नहीं है. नाउ आफ्टर एग्जाम आप बैठो, अब अच्छे से दिमाग लगा के करो, ठीक है. एंड ट्राई टू थिंक व्हाई वर यू नॉट एबल टू गेट टू दैट सोल्यूशन इन द व्हेन यू आर गिविंग द मॉक, ठीक है. कोई ऐसा पॉइंट में आप फंस गए जहाँ पे द क्वेश्चन मेकर वांटेड यू टू गेट स्टक इनटू. सो वो है, या कोई अदर चीज है, क्या वो क्वेश्चन में ऐसा था जिसकी वजह से यू आर फेसिंग दैट काइंड ऑफ एन इशू. Try to look into that part as well, ठीक है, because next time such kind of question comes, you will understand कि अच्छा ये वाला point का कोई मतलब नहीं है, and this is something which मेरा time खा रहा है. So treat each and every question as something which might which is like a good question, and उसमें कुछ सीख सकते हो. LRDI का बस this is the game, and nobody is 100% sure that they'll get good marks in LRDI. It's all about doing new sets, and then trying to increase your mental power, so that ultimately you can solve the question on the D-Day. So keep that in mind, and I think you'll be able to solve that. Don't get disheartened if you're not able to do one question. Try solving them again, and try finding new sets. You'll be able to solve them. Okay. Yeah, question करने में time लगता है, like 20 question of quant data or so. What to do while practicing at home? यार question, यार time तो लगेगा, ठीक है. If you are starting new, if you are, even if you are इफ यू फील दैट थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है स्टार्ट में, नॉट एन इशू, ठीक है, टाइम दो उतना। क्योंकि व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग न्यू, इट इट इज पॉसिबल दैट थोड़ा सोचने में टाइम जा रहा है, इतना जल्दी स्ट्राइक नहीं कर रहा है, अब कैसे सोल्यूशन आएगा। तो ये सोच के पहले गिव अप नहीं करना कि यार इसमें तो बहुत टाइम लग रहा है, मेरा क्या होगा। कोई मैटर नहीं करता, अगर टाइम लग रहा है दो वो टाइम, बिकॉज आज वो टाइम दोगे देन टुमारो और मे बी डे आफ्टर टुमारो दोस क्वेश्चंस वुड बी सॉल्व्ड इन लाइक लेस टाइम। सो बिल्ड करना है अपने को, ठीक है। इट्स लाइक अ मसल दैट वी आर बिल्डिंग इनसाइड आवर माइंड, कि अच्छा ये क्वेश्चन आएंगे हम ऐसे सॉल्व कर देंगे। अगर टाइम लग रहा है नो इश्यूज, वो थोड़ा टाइम निकालो, कहीं से एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लो, थोड़ा थोड़ा इधर उधर का डिस्ट्रैक्शंस कम करो, ट्राई ब्रिंगिंग इन मोर टाइम इन वॉट एवर दैट यूर डूइंग, स्टडी मोर, एंड इन नो टाइम यू विल सी कि वो डिफरेंस तुमको दिख रहा है, सडनली यू विल बी एबल टू सॉल्व दोस क्वेश्चंस इन अ फ्रेंजी। तो अगर टाइम लग रहा है गुड, दैट मीन्स दैट यू आर बिल्डिंग अपॉन दैट। जस्ट ये देखो कि सोल्यूशन देख के आंसर नहीं देखना है, हम पहले खुद से ट्राई करेंगे, गिव योर टाइम इन दैट, ठीक है, खुद से आंसर लाओ। एंड लास्ट में अगर बिल्कुल ही नहीं हो रहा आफ्टर 10 or 15 minutes ऑफ दैट क्वेश्चन, देन मे बी यू कैन लुक इनटू द सोल्यूशन एंड देन ट्राई टू सी कि व्हाट वाज गोइंग रॉन्ग, ठीक है। Which is the best coaching institute for beginners? I mean, that's your call. I would not say much on that. I prepared from Unacademy and I felt that Unacademy was good for me. So, I mean, you can look into that. So, I've gone through arithmetic, geometry, PNC, now daily giving sectional. And should I go for remaining topics or should I do fully vivid preparation for only these topics? Um, so, I mean, I think you didn't write algebra. Algebra is a major section, please don't skip that, okay. If you're giving sectionals daily, I mean, well and good, that is showing that you're doing good practice each and every day, so that is good for you. But algebra, please don't skip. And I mean, see, that's a call for you, right? If you want to go for remaining topics or you want to do preparation for these topics, but I would prefer you to not skip these topics. गिव सेक्शनल्स देते रहो, बट वो सेक्शंस जो तुमने मिस किए हैं वो भी थोड़े बहुत पढ़ के रखो, बिकॉज क्वेश्चंस माइट कम, एंड इन दिस केस आई थिंक algebra which is one of the major topics right in CAT, वो उसके आई थिंक 4 or 5 क्वेश्चंस आ ही जाते हैं, सो डोंट स्किप these particular topics, these are major questions thing. So because आपको पता नहीं other sections, you might be the best in arithmetic as well, but if they gave like 2 or 3 tough questions of arithmetic, then it might not be possible for you to score well, right? And it might be possible in that particular exam they would give 2 or 3 easy questions for algebra, which you would have done if you were clear with the basics, or at least you would have tried them. So don't skip any topics, जो भी कर रहे हो do it with whatever that you can, जितना हो सके उतना पढ़ना है, and साथ ही साथ थोड़ा preparation भी करना है. I know it's tough, but it's just 52 days guys, थोड़ा push करना है, and you will be able to see a much better score than what you are scoring right now, ठीक है. So always focus on that. So what's your stand on the critical reasoning part? Critical reasoning part, I think, see, it's I think it's eventually a part of the exam, right? So if you are having some kind of issues with critical reasoning, again, please, try to look into more questions of that particular manner, ठीक है, थोड़े बहुत basics देख लो, क्या है basics में, maybe something which you are missing, maybe something that you feel that you could do better in that, थोड़ा बहुत टाइम दे सकते हो, अभी भी टाइम है तुम्हारे पास, ठीक है, थोड़े बहुत फंडामेंटल्स क्लियर करने का, ब्रश अप करने का, so do that and then go ahead in solving those particular kind of questions. So you can go ahead and do that, and I think it will be well and good for you, right? So any more questions, guys? I think most of the questions we have covered, and yeah, I mean, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, whatever questions that you have. These were the basic strategy points. Okay, we got one question. Suggest majors of algebra while reading Aeon essays and article. Okay, so just majors of algebra. Yeah, I think algebra may we have few points, right? Few topics. I don't remember all of them, but I think there were different kinds of topics. But yeah, it's a very major section. ठीक है? There's no major topic, one major topic. ठीक है? Since I told you, right, there are like 5 to 6 questions that come from algebra. सब पे focus करके algebra, at least you have time right now, ठीक है? Even if you give 20 days, I think it will be well enough for you to cover at least intermediate level algebra. So please go ahead and do that, ठीक है? Don't skip this section. And while reading Eon essays and article, the unknown words are not comprehensible. Should we keep them noted with roots and meaning, revise on daily basis? This will help or not? this will definitely help. If you are able, because I also kept that kind of thing. कुछ भी new words आते थे, I used to write them down. उसकी meaning वगैरह क्या है क्या नहीं, and sometimes you get that word and you have an advantage over other people. So if you're doing that, well and good. If you have that kind of an habit, अच्छी बात है. To read those kind of things and keep that check. So if you're doing that, well and good. It's a good thing that you're doing, and keep doing that. Then in that case, if you're able to find out time for that, well and good. And also along with your marks, I am giving times wrong. Marks really fluctuate very much. See, marks will fluctuate. Okay, as I said before. Okay, and no topper would tell you that marks fluctuate नहीं करते हैं. It's a this thing, right? Uh, सबके marks fluctuate करते हैं because there might be particular sections or particular times the marks itself are difficult, so that you can gauge and you can select questions which are easy in that, because you need to ultimately select, right? So even if you are doing that, ठीक है, not an issue, fluctuate कर रहे हैं, whatever that you can learn from those tough mocks, right, that will eventually work out for you in the future. So ठीक है, if they are fluctuating, dishearten होने की जरूरत नहीं है. Try to see what went wrong and try to find out issues, solve them. You'll be able to do well. Any online sites we can use to find good DILR sites? Yeah, I was not able to find very good, kind of a repository for DILR sites. But since I was part of an academy, I think a lot of the course material that I got, that had really good sites at that time. So I was able to do those sets in that particular fashion. Online you might be able to find some things. Try to finding these things. I think you might be able to find few other repositories as well, but for me it was mostly an academy course material which I followed, right? um okay, I have done everything in quant and practice all also, I think. Well and good. Then you're set for quants. um okay, hello, VRC में marks नहीं आ रहे, how to improve in left days, and when I read passage I'm unable to find answer what passage want to say in some type of patches. यार, it's okay if you're not able to get VRC में marks अभी, ठीक है. अभी भी there's a lot of time, as I mentioned. If you're able to not understand the passage, right, and what the author is saying, ठीक है, first of all I would say try to go and find some basics, ठीक है, RC में कैसे solve करना है. Try to revise the concepts of skimming through the para, ठीक है, notes बनाने, how to efficiently make notes for that particular passage, and then how will you be able to solve that, right? उसका पूरा एक थोड़ा रिवाइज कर लो, एंड देन स्टार्ट विथ लाइक इजी पैराग्राफ्स, थोड़े इजी आरसी से स्टार्ट करो, देन मूव ऑन टू द मीडियम वंस, देन टू मूव टू द टफ वंस, ठीक है. एंड एट द सेम टाइम अगर तुम मॉक्स में भी कुछ फाइंड करोगे, कुछ अलग सा आरसी आ रहा है, अटेम्प्ट करो, ठीक है. अटेम्प्ट टू वट एवर नॉलेज दैट यू हैव, एंड देन आफ्टर दैट यू विल बी एबल टू जज योर सेल्फ, ठीक है. ओके, इस वाले में मैंने क्या गलती कर दी, इसमें क्या समझ नहीं आया. तो अगर वीआरसी में यू आर नॉट एबल टू स्कोर मार्क्स, अदर टू सेक्शंस आर ओके, देन गिव मोर टाइम टू वीआरसी, ठीक है. Because we need to perform well in all three sections, okay, if you're aiming for a good score. So don't overlook this thing, ठीक है. अगर मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे, okay, it's not an issue, अभी भी बहुत टाइम है. Go ahead with focusing more on VARC. Try to find techniques that you can use in your RC and just solve those things. Yeah, I think yeah, mostly that. Any other questions? um mm, mm. Okay, yeah, one more question. Should studying basics of grammar is necessary? Yeah, yeah, I think thoda bahut basics of grammar helps, ultimately in BA questions. Because there might not be a very direct application, but there are other exams also, right? OMETs bhi hai. So sometimes in OMETs, clear grammar questions also come, right? And if you're good with grammar, right, then eventually you'll be able to have a grasp on the language as well. So अगर थोड़े बहुत बेसिक्स कर सकते हो, if you have that kind of time before CAT, go ahead and do that. But I think after CAT also mostly you have time for omits, right, थोड़ा बहुत. So maybe you can focus more on grammar. So see to it what kind of time do you have, and हो जाएगा. And I haven't bought any test series yet because free mocks are available also a lot. So is it okay if I'm giving mocks from random sites? I mean, Tanu, it's your call. I think it should be fine if you're able to, manage those things, right? If you're able to get mocks, but see to it that the mocks that you're giving are of good level, right? Because if they're very easy mocks or very basic mocks, you'll be surprised when you see the actual paper, because उस level के आपकी preparation ही नहीं होगी mocks में, right? So like as I mentioned, there's a mock going on right now, right, for even from an academy, right? Can register here, you can give this kind of mocks, good kind of level of questions would be there, and you'll be able to solve them. So always see to it that the mocks that you're giving are of good level. They're not very easy, because then ultimately it's of no use. So ठीक है, whatever resources or whatever mocks that you're getting, see to it that you're able, like they're of good level and you're learning something out of it, right? And revision of the same con question on Ravi Saglar and his books, which is there in notes section, and practicing questions from times mocks, revisiting the question again which got wrong. Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. Quant questions, what the amount of quant questions that you'll be able to do is like what you'll be able to solve there as well. Okay, if you're able to solve a lot of questions, and especially new questions in this point of time, because a lot of them would be easier questions that you would have solved, right? So उसमें कुछ नया नहीं सीखने मिलेगा. So yeah, I think mocks में जैसे तुमने कहा कि जो questions wrong हो गए, क्या उसमें गलत हुआ, and then how would you be able to solve them in that time? Keep that in mind. That should work for you. Again, okay, Pranav is asking he how should keep, not able to understand that, what exactly that means. ठीक है. Any other questions, guys? Mm-mm. Okay, I think we got most of the questions. So yeah, I mean, once again, guys, see to it that you are able to register on this mock. So on 8th of October, a lot of good questions would be there. You'll be able to gauge up kahan ho abhi, and you'll be able to look more into how would you able to you know prepare more, strategy bana sakte ho. So go into these mocks, register them, and I think yeah, do contact me if you feel whenever that you can. And all the best to every one of you. I hope every one of you get good marks and reach your dream college, right? So yeah, that is it. I think thank you guys.